Wow, guys, July has just flown right past us, but you know what they say, time flies when you're getting dividends. And in today's video, we'll be going through 16 awesome companies like Costco and Procter and Gamble that are paying you even more dividends in August just for being a shareholder. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, now getting right into it, the first stock that's going to be paying you a dividend in the month of August is going to be General Mills, ticker symbol GIS, which is a company in the consumer staples sector with a portfolio of over 100 different brands. These guys own everything ranging from Cheerios and Reese's Puffs to Betty Crocker and Bisquick. And as you can see right here, General Mills is going to be giving you a paycheck on the very first day of the month on August 1st. And for every share of General Mills you own, you can expect to receive 54 cents per share. Now, as far as the dividend stats go, in my opinion, there's really nothing too crazy to write home about. I mean, they have a forward dividend yield just under 3% with a payout ratio right about 50%, a 5-year growth rate that's really, nothing crazy, and a dividend growth history that's kind of the same, only 2 years of consecutive dividend growth. But if we go over to this dividend history page right here, we do see they have some consistency in the payments. They've been consistently paying their dividend for 32 straight years. All right, guys, now moving on to the second stock that's going to be paying you in August. This is Universal Corporation, ticker symbol UVV, and this company is the world's leading supplier of tobacco leaves. They operate in more than 30 countries across the world and supply many of the big companies with tobacco that ends up in products like cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, stuff like that. And UVV is also going to be paying you on August 1st. And for every share of this company that you own, you'll be getting 79 cents per share. And like a lot of the other companies in the tobacco industry, this has a really high dividend yield, currently sitting at 5.74% with an unlisted payout ratio. But they also have a pretty nice 5-year growth rate, nearly 8%, with a dividend growth history of 50 consecutive years, making UVV officially a dividend king. All right, now moving on to stock number 3, you guys are going to know this one. This is Campbell Soup Company, ticker symbol CPB. And fun fact, I used to own this company in my portfolio, but I sold out of them a while back to invest into Snap-on, ticker symbol SNA, but that's really neither here nor there, guys. As far as Campbell Soup Company's dividend, they're also going to be paying you on August 1st, which is turning out to be a really great day for dividend income. And for every share of CPB that you own, you'll be getting 37 cents. Now, as far as the other dividend stats goes, guys, to me personally, this is kind of like General Mills. Not a lot to write home about. The forward yield is 3.11%. Payout ratio is 52%. Okay, nothing spectacular. 5-year growth rate, basically non-existent, with a dividend growth history of 3 consecutive years. But CPB does have some consistency with the payments as they've been paying the dividend for 33 consecutive years. So there is that. Now moving on to stock number 4 that's going to be paying you in August. This is Bristol Myers Squibb, ticker symbol BMY, which is looking incredibly cheap right now. As you guys can see, they're actually having a really great year, up about 18%, but the PE ratio is still in the single digits. So BMY is looking pretty affordable just based on this PE ratio right here. And getting into the dividend stats, these guys are also going to be paying you on August 1st. And for every share of BMY you own, you're going to be getting 54 cents on the dividend. Now, there is a little bit more to speak of here in terms of the dividend than some of the other companies we've seen so far. The forward dividend yield, just under 3%, nothing crazy. This company does have a really low payout ratio, under 27%, just under 27%. Lowest we've seen so far, with a 5-year growth rate that's about 6.4% and a somewhat respectable dividend growth history of 15 consecutive years. Now let's look at the payment consistency. So, 32 straight years of payments, and zooming out on this dividend chart right here, seen some steady growth over time, so I like that. All right, guys, moving on to the 5th company that's going to pay you a dividend in August. This one is near and dear to my heart. This is Lowe, ticker symbol LOW, who's had a really great month, as you can see. Just in the last 30 days, this company's up 14.3%, and their share price is nearing $200 per share. It's definitely creeping north. Now, as far as the dividend stats goes, this one is going to be paying you on August 3rd. We are making our way throughout the month, and for every share of Lowe's that you own, you're going to be getting $1.05. And there is a lot to love about this company's dividend. They have a forward dividend yield of 2.17%, which is nothing crazy, but super low payout ratio, just above 26%, with a really high 5-year growth rate. A lot of growth coming from this company's dividend, near 20% on the 5-year growth CAGR. And they also have a dividend growth history of 59 consecutive years, making Lowe's a dividend king. All right, now company number 6 paying you a dividend in August. This is Enterprise Products Partners, ticker symbol EPD, which is one of the highest yielding stocks stocks in my portfolio, and in case you've never heard of this company, they're a midstream energy company that transports and stores natural gas and natural gas products all up and down the United States, and you can expect to receive a payment from these guys on August 12th, and for every share of EPD you own, which is not an expensive stock, it's only $25.50 per share, but for every share you own, you're going to be getting 48 cents on the dividend, and this, like I said, is one of the highest yielding stocks in my portfolio with a forward dividend yield of 7.39%, really high yield with a 5-year growth rate that's, we don't have to talk about it, nothing crazy there, but they do have a dividend growth history of 23 consecutive years, so that's great. Almost a dividend aristocrat. All right, now the next stock that's going to be paying you a dividend in August is Clorox, ticker symbol CLX, which is a company you probably know for their bleach and cleaning products, but you may not have known that Clorox also owns brands such as Hidden Valley Ranch and Burt's Bees. Pretty wild. Now, like EPD, Clorox is going to be paying you a dividend also on August 12th, and for every share of this company that you own, you'll be getting $1.18. Now, there is some great things going on with the dividend. The forward yield is 3.19%. Payout ratio right now, according to Seeking Alpha, is over 100%. I don't know exactly how accurate this is. I would have to dive a little bit deeper into that, but look at the 5-year growth rate, guys. Not too shabby, 7.71% with a pretty respectable dividend growth history of 20 years. Now, let's see how consistent they are with the payment. So they've been growing the dividend for 20 straight years, but they've been paying it for 44 consecutive years. So I really like that. All right, guys, now moving on to the next stock paying us in August, and we are just about halfway through our list, by the way. This one is going to be Costco, ticker symbol COST, which is kind of like the Moby Dick of dividend stocks, guys. We all want to catch it. We all want to have Costco in our portfolios and get it at the right price, but it always seems to evade us and just be so out of reach. This company is just always so expensive and trades at such a premium. I mean, for goodness sakes, look at that PE ratio, guys. 40.41 on the PE ratio for Costco right now. Pretty unbelievable. Now, like the last few stocks that we talked about, guys, Costco is also going to be paying you a dividend on August 12th. And for every share of Costco that you own, which is, it's not a cheap stock like we mentioned, it's $530 per share, but for every share that you own, you're going to be getting 90 cents per share, which really, guys, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, and it's really not. I mean, the forward dividend yield is 0.68%. They do, however, have a pretty low payout ratio, about 25.5%, with a 5-year growth rate that's in the double digits, 12%, and 6 years of consecutive dividend growth. All right, guys, now moving on to stock number 9 that's going to be paying us in August. This is AbbVie, ticker symbol ABBV, which is a pharmaceutical company in the healthcare industry with a pretty decent forward dividend yield with really high dividend growth. Look at that 5-year CAGR, about 17.5%. But anyway, guys, AbbVie is going to be paying you halfway through the month on August 15th, and for every share of AbbVie that you own, you'll be getting $1.41. All right, guys, moving on to stock number 10, we have Ally Financial, which is going to be paying you a dividend also on August 15th, halfway through the month, and for every share of this company that you own, you're going to be getting 30 cents per share, and the dividend stats are looking great. 3.5% dividend yield, not too shabby, with an incredibly low payout ratio, about 11.5%. By far the lowest that we've seen all day, right? And look at this 5-year growth rate. This is astronomically high, 35.6% with 5 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, moving on to stock number 11 that's paying in August, guys. This is Hormel, ticker symbol HRL, which is a company in the consumer staples sector that owns brands like Jenny-O, which we eat a lot of that at my house, I'll tell you what, Skippy, and La Victoria. Now, as far as the dividend payments, they're going to be paying on August 15th, just like the last handful of stocks that we've talked about. For every share of Hormel you own, you'll be getting 26 cents per share. And take a look at these dividend stats. 2.2% forward dividend yield, payout ratio 55%, a little bit on the higher end, but sub 60% is kind of what I'm looking for a company like this. So that checks out. They have a pretty decent 5-year growth rate, 9.37% with 22 years of consecutive dividend growth. That's nice. They are just a couple years away from becoming a dividend aristocrat. All right, now jumping over to stock number 12. This is another consumer staple stock, guys. This is Colgate-Palmolive, ticker symbol CL, which owns brands. Obviously, they own Colgate, the toothpaste, but they also own Soft Soap, Irish Spring, and Hills pet nutrition. So they're kind of all over the place. Now, as far as the dividend stats goes, they are also paying on August 15th, which is turning out to be another really great day for dividend investors. And for every share of Colgate-Palmolive that you own, you'll be getting 47 cents per share for the dividend. Now, taking a look at the dividend stats, 2.47% forward dividend yield, not too shabby. Payout ratios kind of in line with what we saw with Hormel, mid 50%. 5-year growth rate, not too much going on there, just above 3%, but they do have a really strong dividend growth history, 59 consecutive years. Really nice to have those dividend kings in your portfolio. Love that. And speaking of dividend kings, stock number 13 is another dividend king and another consumer staple stock. And also it's one of my favorite companies to invest in. This is Procter and Gamble, ticker symbol PG. And Procter and Gamble is going with the majority. They are also paying a dividend on August 15th, as you can see right here. And for every share of Procter and Gamble that you own, you'll be getting 91 cents for the dividend. Now, taking a look at the dividend stats, they have a 2.6% dividend yield with a higher payout ratio, just above 60%. We'll let it slide, guys, because the 5-year growth rate, while that's pretty average, 5.5%. The dividend growth history is, you can't beat this. 66 years of consecutive dividend growth. And like I said earlier, Procter & Gamble, they're the king of dividend kings for this reason. They have just such a nice dividend growth history. Now, on to the next one, guys. We just have 3 more stocks to get through, so hang in there. This brings us to stock number 14 that's going to be paying in August, and that is going to be Caterpillar, ticker symbol CAT, who will be paying a dividend on August 19th. And for every share of Caterpillar that you own, you'll get $1.20. Now, looking at the dividend stats, they have a forward dividend yield of 2.65%, as we can see right here. A fairly low payout ratio, 41% on the dot, with a 5-year growth rate that's not too shabby, 7.95%, and a dividend growth history that's also not too bad. 19 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, let's take a look at the dividend history and see the consecutive years of payments. 33 years. Not too bad. All right, guys, now the second to last stock we're talking about is Williams-Sonoma, ticker symbol WSM, which is just about as cheap as they come. Look at this PE ratio, 8.86 on the PE ratio, but Williams-Sonoma is gaining back some ground, and just in the last month, guys, they're up about 14.5%, so they are creeping back up there. Now, going over to the dividend page right here, this company is going to be paying a dividend at the end of the month on August 26th, and for every share of this cheap company that you own, you'll be getting 78 cents for the dividend. Now, looking at the dividend stats, this is a really high growth dividend company. Now, the forward dividend yield, the starting yield is 2.2%. Kind of low, right? But the payout ratio is also very low, with a lot of room to grow, which they are certainly doing. Take a look at this 5-year growth rate, 14.41%, very high, with a pretty nice dividend growth history of 16 consecutive years. So I really like a lot of these dividend stats. Low payout ratio, high 5-year growth rate, pretty decent dividend growth that they will probably be able to continue into the future. All right, guys, now, you know I had to save the best stock for last. Dare I say this is my favorite company? I think a lot of you would say it certainly is. But this is Starbucks, ticker symbol SBUX, who is going to be paying on August 26th. And for every share of Starbucks that you own, you'll be getting 49 cents per share. Now, taking a look at the dividend stats, this is also a very high growth dividend stock. The forward dividend yield is 2.35%. Payout ratios considerably higher than what we saw with the last company, right? But the 5-year growth rate's also very sweet, 15.11%, with a dividend growth history of 12 consecutive years. I love me some Starbucks. All right, guys, now that you know all the great companies that are going to be paying you a dividend coming up here pretty soon, check out this next video to learn about the best dividend stocks to buy in your 20s and 30s. The kind that I talk about in this video are high growth, high quality, and in high demand. So click right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.